What's up, WWE Champions Universe? It's Rusty and Lee from Champions Chat. We're not going to give you the typical show introduction that we normally give you. You know
Ooh,
why? Because we are in a new era.
a
We
new
are in the
era.
Netflix era, the Paul Levesque era. That was fascinating to hear, wasn't it?
It was.
To hear and to watch. What a spectacle! I'm assuming if you're listening to us by now, you've watched Raw's premiere on Netflix. If you have not, stop this episode right here, go watch it, and then come back because we're full of spoilers. We're freaking out.
Oh, I'm
Lee,
sure. Yeah,
you have
it
any
was good.
thoughts and feelings about? Okay, let me give you a quote, and then I want to hear your reaction and your thoughts and feelings to Raw on Netflix.
Okay.
Bubba Ray Dudley, also known as Bully Ray, hosts a podcast that I love called the Busted Open Podcast. He said this was the biggest Raw of all time. No, this was the biggest show WWE has ever done, including WrestleManias of all time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
That's
they
the
could
quote.
reach potentially more people. I haven't seen the network numbers, and I'm hoping that those, come out and they say like, yeah, 40 bazillion people watched it. But there are more parts of the planet that were able to watch that simultaneously. There was more people that were able to watch that live, and then being Netflix. Like, okay, so quick example. I have Hulu. I've got, all those good things. Enough things that I should be able to find them, right? Well, the other day, somebody had told you like, "Oh, you missed SmackDown. It was the most amazing thing." And I actually had an hour where I was going to go back and watch the night before SmackDown.
Yeah.
Well, on all of the streaming things I have that have WWE content, the most recent one I could find was 2 to 3 weeks earlier, so I just could not watch that SmackDown. And by the time I can watch that one, I won't care about it existing because it's three
Right.
weeks later. There's way too much stuff going on. Netflix, I can watch the Netflix Raw episodes 10 minutes after they're done. Right? So the rewatchability, the initial watchability, it is huge.
Well, would you agree or disagree? It's the most important moment, the most important, like Bubba Ray said,
Wow.
the biggest show of all time. Now, here, this is a setup. This is part one
Oh,
of a
okay.
part two, because part two is actually more important.
Okay. Okay.
Hypothetically, I'll say hypothetically, I agree with Bully Ray. He knows the industry better than I
Right.
would ever hope to know it. So I'll
Right.
say I'll give him the insider's benefit of the doubt.
Right.
Would you?
Uh,
Would you
I would
entertain?
agree because this is their biggest chance to get lapsed fans and new fans. Netflix is so pervasive in houses across the globe that people, they made a spectacle enough of it. People watch that and go, "Oh, I remember when." Which, like, I know, like Wrestle Talk made fun of how many legends they brought back. I thought it was strategic as heck because
Oh
if I'm
yeah,
somebody who hasn't watched since the Attitude Era, I don't
right,
know who the girl standing beside The
right.
Undertaker is. All I know is the girl standing beside The Undertaker is now a star to me because, wow, The Undertaker's given her the rub. All right, I believe in that girl now. I want to find out who she is.
So you brought him up. You brought him up.
Set up?
Dare I say, I had an observation in the very
Yes.
middle of the show. The very middle, almost the exact midpoint of the show.
Of what you called the card?
Whose music should hit but the gong? And I was like, okay.
Oh, you're going there.
If this is the biggest show of all time, even 20 years after his prime, he's scheduled for the middle of the card, thus meaning Paul Levesque has confirmed The Undertaker is, in fact, the greatest mid-carder of all time on the biggest show of all time. They penciled his name in. They penciled his name in.
Please send all hate mail to Rustifer Graves at...
What's there to argue with now? What is there to... The proof is in the footage. It's there. He's there. Not only is he there, he came out as his favorite persona. The persona that's more Mark than it is Undertaker. He came out as him. Himself in the mid card. He owned the mid card.
Well,
Hard to argue with that. Hard to argue with that. I know I've got heat for saying it. I think WWE says Rusty's right. He is our mid carder. He's the draw in the middle of the card. So there's that.
So here's a quick parallel for you then that we can argue about later. So Raw, the very, 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 very first Raw they ever did, they said Undertaker was the main event of the very first Raw, which is what they said when it came out. So does that mean in 10, 20 years' time, when you and I are in rocking chairs and our teeth are falling out, and we're still doing a podcast together...
That may not be too far away, Lee.
Well, mentally and physically are two different things. But does that mean that you are going to be arguing that Seth Rollins is the new best mid-carder of all time because he main evented the Netflix show?
Hang on. Okay. Rollins aside. No, I don't think I can make that point. In this era, he's a main eventer. He's carried the show. He's carried the title. He's been the draw. Not only has he been the draw, he's been the prop to make his opponent look excellent. He's essentially the Bret Hart or the Shawn Michaels of this generation. He's the guy. He's the AJ Styles. He's the guy you want, the person you want to get over to go against. That being said, Lee, if this was the biggest show in WWE history, who main evented and went over in the biggest show in WWE history?
Well,
none other than Charles Mathewson Punk. CM Punk just raised his hand in the main event of the biggest show in my children's lifetime.
That's right.
Essentially, their WrestleMania 6 moment is CM Punk going over.
Nice. Yep. I agree. CM Punk beat Jobber to the Stars, Seth Rollins, on the biggest show they've ever had. Quick anecdote, though. I was watching the Raw with my wife, and when CM Punk came out, she had one of those like, oh, I've never paid attention to this, because she doesn't watch wrestling a ton. She'll watch it with me here and there. She was like, what does CM stand for? And I joked first. I was like, Charles Mathewson. She goes, really? Or I think I said Charles Montgomery. She goes, really? That's weird. I was like, no. Actually, it stands for Chick Magnet. She goes, are you serious? I go, yeah. And I explained the history of the Chick Magnets, and she just sat there for me. She goes, that's dumb. That's really dumb. She goes, he should change his name. Is he not a grown-up now?
Totally agree.
But yeah, Lee, CM Punk is their biggest star. That's what they said with that. Their biggest draw.
Let's ask this. Does it right all the wrongs? CM Punk came back saying, I want to headline WrestleMania. I want to get what is owed to me. I've never got that draw, that card, that number one billing, that top billing. I think he will not get it this year.
Oh, I wasn't thinking about that.
Not get it is because they'll say, dude, we gave you Raw on Netflix. Also,
yeah, but it's still Raw.
For branding purposes, side note, it is no longer called Monday Night Raw. because
Right.
that does not apply to a global audience. That does not apply to an audience in Australia watching it in the middle of the afternoon on Tuesday. It's just
Right.
Raw. No, nothing said Monday night. No logo, no graphic. So it's just Raw.
Raw. Yeah, Raw on Netflix. I agree. Yeah, that makes sense. But I would still say it's not WrestleMania on Netflix. That's going to be
Right.
even a bigger deal. I mean, in America at least, it's still going to be on Peacock for this year. WrestleMania is,
Oh,
but
okay.
globally, Netflix will be the home of WrestleMania. And
Hmm.
I think if I'm CM Punk and somebody makes that argument to me, you got the biggest show of all time. Well, yeah, but it wasn't WrestleMania. And if it's in
But
this lead up to WrestleMania, I'm thinking, and WrestleMania is going to be bigger. It better be bigger
well,
than
but
the
you can't
first
do
Raw.
that. You can't give him main event in perpetuity. You can't say, well, to make it up to you, you're always going to get the top draw for the rest. Whatever we think the
No, he
biggest
just
show
needs
will
one
be.
WrestleMania. He just needs
No,
one. It's always been WrestleMania.
so does that mean he faces John Cena?
I don't know. I guess it depends on what they're doing with the storyline. John Cena's the wild card right now. He's the one that they could put him up against anybody because it's his last year.
I
I
don't know
still
that they
think the
can
main
carry a
event should be
match.
CM Punk Roman. I
I
think
don't
it's
know that
CM
they can
Punk Roman.
carry a match. I hate to say that. I don't know that a 48-year-old Cena and the CM Punk whose body failed him that we saw in the ring. Um, there's a reason
Yeah.
Rollins
Oh,
did multiple go to sleeps and Punk did one half-assed go to sleep at the very end of the match.
because his is that
I
much
don't
more
think he could
powerful.
carry the match. Yeah, oh yes, in story mode, yes. In physicality though, he is. I don't know that he's got a lot of time left on the clock. Period.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly why I think that they're going to give him this WrestleMania. I mean, he came back. Here's the argument from a financial standpoint. He came back and was instantly the headliner of their biggest show of all time. And that is the reason why it makes sense to
Right.
give him one WrestleMania where he's the main event. And
Right.
then after that, yeah, he goes and he works with Shawn Michaels in NXT, or he becomes the next Undertaker that shows up randomly and gives the next Rhea
Yeah.
Ripley the big, hooray, look at
He,
this one.
he he was really good behind the desk. Other places, he was really good on
Yeah.
commentary. Other
Oh, yeah.
places. So okay, the point of all of this talk
Okay.
is to illustrate the topic of today's show. Those of
Oh,
you
wow.
who are
That was the intro, huh? That
those of
15
you who are
minutes?
listening and going, would you just get to the mobile game, guys? Your podcast is called, WWE Champions Chat podcast, dedicated to the Scopely mobile game. And yet today's topic, Lee, is patience. Patience.
Ooh.
The art of waiting. I do it very poorly.
Ooh.
I think you do it very well.
Thank you.
So I thought it would be helpful that we talk through patience as strategy in this game. I am notorious for spending my prize wall medallions or pulling a loot early in a contest. I've always heard wait until the end of the contest before you decide, before you spend, before you claim. And I have rarely, if ever, done it.
Yep.
I wonder if I represent a portion of the community who has some regrets.
No regrets.
A
Yep.
great example of this, Lee, would be the October Zombie Oopsie prize wall from last year, in which you were able to claim Zombie Becky.
Nope,
In
I
which
pulled Zombie Becky. I pulled
oh,
Zombie Becky. I got Zombie Liv and Zombie Gunther and the plates.
yeah, see, I didn't get all that because
Yep.
I cashed out early.
Yep. Yep. That's right.
One or two of the plates in Gunther. And then I saw others in the community say, that's all you got? And I
Right.
was stupefied as to how I fell short. And in reality, it was because the contest was not over and there was more to claim. And if I would have waited, I would have gotten more. Let me tell you why we don't wait. And then you tell me why it's worth it to wait. Okay. Here's why we don't wait. Instant gratification. This game caters to those of us who fall victim to the fear of missing out, also known as FOMO, and jump into it to get the thrill of the hunt immediately with instant gratification. We want that dopamine release. We want that sweetness on our roster, and we want to be able to post a screenshot to our faction before anyone else and say, look at what I got. Ha, ha, ha.
Yep.
Is there peril in that strategy?
Absolutely. Yes. So when we had Captain Jack from the Black Pearl on there, he did the best because he's also a man born of British descent who lives in the U.S. Not just descent, like he was actually born there. And we quoted the worst X-Men movie ever, X-Men 3, with Magneto when he goes, "This is why the pawns go first," right? Like you send out the people who are like, "Oh, I'm jumping on this," and they get all the stuff, and then they're like, "Oh, I missed out on everything." Like the pawns go first, because you also, a couple things. One, there's a reason why there's a saying, all good things come to those who wait. Two, those who go first might get something decent out of it, but you never know, especially in this game with subject to change being a looming credit to our industry. You never know when something might, like, what if, Rusty, you spend all of your popcorn buckets and then they go, oh, we're actually going to go ahead and add the American Alpha versus Wyatt 6 moment for, the amount that you would have had if you didn't spend and get the plate that, you wanted it, but it barely makes a difference on your roster. Now all of a sudden you're going, I could have had that if I had waited. So yeah, I try to wait until the end or near the end of a contest. Right. Don't wait for the timer to go away. I mean, that's a bad strategy too. But within that last, Sunday's a good example. Like this event is a week-long event. Saturday, all the points are pretty much in your pocket. By Sunday, you kind of know what you're getting. You do those last few tours or whatever it is for that weekend. And then Sunday night, you go and look and say, okay, what do I want to get out of this? And you know what? A lot of the time, nothing changes. Let's be honest. A lot of the time, nothing changes. But when it does, right? Because there could be an oopsie and you're going, oh, I'm 500 popcorn short of that thing I really wanted. Screw it. Right. I'm just going to get something else. And then they're like, hey, players, we did this, this, and this. We're giving everyone 500 popcorn. And all of a sudden you just go, what could have been? And that's what it is. It's regrets. Right. It's what could have been if you don't.
So let me highlight a few things you just said. Number one, if a timer expires, you've waited too long. You are now screwed. They will not reactivate it. They will not bring it back. No amount of help tickets will help you get that prize wall back in the game. Right. And they've made that now their default answer to ensure fairness. Right. To say we just cannot make exceptions. Once the timer expires, it is over, regardless of what catastrophic event has happened, be it weather, be it act of God, be it death in your faction, someone passes away, which literally we had happen to us, and I don't use that lightly. And yet, no amount of grief, no amount of natural disaster was going to convince them to reactivate a prize wall. So don't wait too long. The other thing Lee highlighted was in a game where we know miscalculations and accidents happen early, the early spending of it not only does it eliminate the future earning, like what, let's say, oh, we miscalculated, here's the 500 popcorn, we shorted you in this event, right? So not only did you accept a consolation prize, in my case, many times I spend to get the difference, and so then I've wasted money.
Right.
So either I accept the wrong prize or I spend to get the right prize, both of which are lesser paths of victory than
Right.
what Lee is saying. Just wait. You have any thoughts on that? The spend to get early versus the settling of the lower prize?
Right. Well, yes, because like here's the thing, the just wait, you never know what's going to happen. Here's a great example. I was going to do a mega poll. I love this weekend's loot. And my goodness, literally after whatever we did last night and all that, the stream, I was so tired. I literally like kept looking at my wife going, what am I doing right now? She's like, I have no idea. You need to go to sleep. And so I was so tired, like I couldn't figure things out. I have a amount of prize wall popcorn, currency stuff, and there are 3 different things that I could get or could have gotten or whatever that I've wanted. One being I was very close on shards to Bronson Reed. I'm very close on shards to The Undertaker. I could get a Yeet plate. Actually 4 because I could get that new moment if I get enough stuff. So Bronson. So this morning, I wake up because I didn't get time to do loot, and then we went straight to this podcast, blah, 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 so I didn't do it then either. I used my free claim, the one that, if you have the Ultimate Champions Club, it just says claim, and you just hit the button, and usually it's shards, whatever, and all of a sudden I see the poster reveal image, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what just happened on a free claim? It was Bronson Reed. And so I got Bronson Reed for free. So suddenly, what if I had wanted him so bad that I spent my currency on Bronson Reed, and then on a free, well, okay, it's not free because it's part of a club pass that you have to pay for. So on a bonus claim, I got him on just the most random, what the heck? Oh my gosh, I just got something. Oh, but I just spent my popcorn on Bronson Reed. Dang it, right? So that would have been a real world example because I was really thinking about that. I'm like, I haven't been able to get Bronson in however long. So now same thing with The Undertaker. Like I could claim Ministry of Darkness Undertaker right now, but if I got some more and I could get a Yeet plate or I could get the Austin moment, like I would kick myself for it. And here's the thing. If I make that claim right now and put Undertaker on my roster, it's literally going to change nothing about the way I play through the end of this event. And if by the end of this event I actually want Undertaker, I'll have wanted him even more because I waited a little bit longer and the honey became sweeter because of it.
Oh, that's good. So Lee, I let me just add an addendum to what you've said. I have so many times spent towards notice I say towards the end of a contest because I have not calculated end of contest rewards, leaderboard rewards that would have put me to where I spent to get for free.
Right.
So I'm not against spending, but my fatal error is that I will spend, let's say it's Sunday, right? Oh, the weekend contest is drawing to a close. It ends Monday at reset. Well, I don't want to wait till Monday.
Yeah.
Day of in-game, things. And so then I claim it, or I spend to get that next milestone, which then Monday at reset, the contest ends, the leaderboard rewards come in, and I go, oh, well, that doesn't go towards anything because I spent to get there early. Again, wasting my money. I'm not against spending, but I am against wasting. And when I waste, it's frustrating, right? Lee, do you realize it's called a weekend contest?
Yeah.
not a Friday contest. It's not a Friday
Right.
contest. Oftentimes I play the game like it's a Friday contest.
Yep.
Spending as soon as the offers go live, rather than waiting to see what I'll earn and where I'll finish. That was something that one of the top guys in the leaderboard. I mean, I don't want to name drop him because I haven't asked his permission to share this and quote him, but he told me directly, I never spend on Friday. I wait and see where I'm gonna get throughout the weekend contest, and then I go after it, usually on Sunday, because when I know really more of where I'm at. Is that your approach as well, Lee? It's not typically my approach, but it seems a lot smarter than what I'm doing.
Well, ours is a little bit different because we stream on Friday. So if I'm gonna pull, I do it on Friday for the stream most of the time. But if we weren't streaming and I was gonna do the same, then yeah, probably maybe not Friday, maybe Saturday night. If I feel like that would be a good time frame for it. But Merrick's has given us some good advice too on the Sunday offers oftentimes are the ones that you want to go for, so it really depends too. Like if the Friday offer I know expires, and let's say for example, they've got this thing they're doing where it's 500 shards of the S plus tier character for $5, and that expires Saturday, that one I know, I'm gonna go for then. But if it's something where it's usual offer, I just want to rush to get a loot pull done. Usually I find the offers are even better on Sunday because they get the last chance moniker and they add a little bit sweeter to the honey, too.
Okay, so yeah, no, that's really good, and I feel
you feel
like the same emblems. I feel like the same is true of Flash Market offers. You get that free reset, and then you get to see what else is in the Ruby market or the Webcoin market. Is there anywhere else in the game that we've not talked about that you would say you absolutely need to move slower and wait in this area of the game?
I mean, to be honest, just going back to the topic, in this game as in life, patience will typically reward you. So there are times, and you got to be strategic, there are times where getting it out the gate is good, but most of the time, unless there's a very strategic reason, wait to do your pulls, wait to spend your prize wall medallions, wait till like I say, don't wait too long because there's folly on that as well, but yeah, in most areas of the game now, beating your tours, beat them as soon as you can, get it done, that kind of stuff, that's not the same. But where there's strategy involved, where it's not just a regular content drop, that would be wait.
Well, and even in the tours, there's a little bit of strategy with waiting in a showdown contest where you want to, use your energy, do your showdown, and then go back and do your tours to get your energy replenished.
That's
right?
true.
So
That's
even
true.
still, but that's there's a little bit of nuance to that, and yet waiting is still the better option than blowing it out, claiming too much energy. Lee, is there anywhere that you should not wait? Let's talk about the opposite. I have a place where, to me, this is where I've got to go for it, is the premium showdown contest. If I'm going to do pulls, if I'm going to or maybe even it's a shard recruit, if I'm going to spin that MLC coin on the 100 shards of Lyra, and it's Lyra's premium showdown weekend, I'm going to go hard and fast to try to get in that first 24 hours. It may be the only place in the game where I get rewarded, but I wonder if there's, for going too fast or going early, is there anywhere else that you can think of where it's advantageous not to wait?
Yes, non-spend aspects of faction events, like in particular boss battles. Since we're in a boss battle
Oh.
weekend, if you're the guy who sits around because you can and you don't want to play and you don't care about your faction and you blah blah blah, and then after all the rewards are in, you're like, hey, can anybody carry me on some 23s? I want to finally play the game. Yeah, you're getting kicked. But in other aspects of it, that's not necessarily true. But yeah, boss battles, things like that, where the faction is on the line, you want to get in and get your stuff done for the faction early as you can. But again, non-spend aspects, non-prize ball aspects of it, just the actual gameplay, like boss battle. Showdown is usually individualized, and so typically it's good. A lot of people actually do wait on Showdown and try to get their stuff out as much as possible towards the end. And so they'll just do the 1 hourly match until the very end, and then they just blitz everything they possibly can because you get more for that side of things. But yeah, definitely boss battle, faction feud. Your faction is not going to look kindly on you if you try to run out there and be like, hey, there's 10 minutes left and I need to get my points on this. Everybody cater to me. So faction specific stuff, I would say.
And you're probably on your faction's chopping block if that is you. You may not know it, but your faction knows it. If you're the
Right.
guy who's notoriously asking for carries at the end of the event, they're probably targeting you for a boot or a demotion.
Right.
Um, Lee, is it true? I think this is true, but I want you to fact check it. Is it true that speed is the tiebreaker when it comes to equal scoring? Meaning, in a faction contest, boss battle event, if the max score is 40,000 points, whichever faction finishes first and gets to 40,000 or whatever it is, they will stay there at number one on the leaderboard. And then the next to arrive will be number two. The next to arrive will be number three. So if speed is the tiebreaker, that helps me understand why you've said what you've said about right at reset, jumping on, being excited to jump into that event and do my best along with the 99 of my faction mates, right? Is that confirmed?
Yeah, I mean it confirms. I was more talking about it from the just faction inter-faction relationship side of things. But yes, yeah, if your faction is gunning for a leaderboard and equal points, the one who got there faster is the one that stays on top, then yes, you screw your faction if you don't help them get there. Now again, that's you're in a faction that that's the deal, that's the agreement, that's what you're going for.
Right.
That's the story there. But still, yeah, those timed faction events, the sooner you get in and do your stuff, and then the more you stick around and actually help the faction, not to the point where you do nothing else in life, but to where it shows that you're being like a not just a team player, but a valuable member of the team, then that is to your benefit to go faster in that specific type of scenario.
That's really good. That's a really good thought. All right. So, this is going to be a shorter episode today, but I'm curious if you have any final thoughts on the virtue of patience. And then I want to just invite our listening audience to do a few things. Number one, join us each and every Friday night on Twitch where we do power ratings. Last night was a lot of fun. We did the newest superstar in the game with King Gunther, and we did we've been doing some callback power ratings now to some of our favorite quote unquote, like greatest hits characters that we've loved and used over the years. And we got to do DX Army, Acro, Shawn Michaels. Both of those videos will be out later this week. We'd love for you to watch them. But I think another thing I've noticed is just that our Discord is it needs more activity. So if you're listening out there today and help us make our Discord active. Now, not by trolling, not by saying, shock value comments, but just the same conversations that we have on Twitch, that we have in our podcast. We want to continue those conversations with you on our Discord, and we've got some great mods on there who help keep it a safe place. We've got some really tremendous channels within our Discord for helping you maximize your strategy, including one of my favorite things about our Discord is we have a guy known as the Taskmaster. Does he still go by Taskmaster?
He's retired though, yeah.
Oh,
he's not doing the Taskmaster thing right now, so petition him to bring it back.
Oh gosh, demand he return. I bet he would love to know he made a difference in what he was doing. But basically, he was like a free-to-play tracker. He would chronicle what he did in the game and how the free-to-play player could max the MLC and get the most out of each contest. Is there anything else we do that we should highlight before we say our final thoughts on Patience and wrap up?
Well, no, it's a good, you mentioned this is a new era for WWE and Patience. So, this is a new/different era for Champions Chat for a little while too. Both Rusty and I are in advanced programs that cause us to have a lot less time. And so, our video output might be a little bit lower. Our podcasts might be a little bit less frequent for a while. My program's 5 months, so I'm not talking like a short bit. So we appreciate your patience and just coming with us. If whenever, we'll still try to put out at least a video, maybe 2 a day, but we'll see, and podcast, each week as we're able. But whenever we do get to put out a podcast, make sure you do watch it. Make sure you do share it, because we might have less frequency, but we have no less intensity of love for the game, for this community, and we really truly want to be helpful to you guys. And so, it helps us when you like, when you subscribe, when you watch the videos, when you leave comments, all those things. The reason that YouTubers put all that garbage out there at the end of every video is because that's the game that YouTube makes them play, and it grows their content base, it shows it to other people. So if you like and appreciate what we're doing, especially as we have a phase, it's just a phase, but it's a phase where maybe we can't put out near as much as we used to, support us by what we do put out. Give it all those things that the YouTubers passive aggressively ask you for at the end of every video. I'm not passive aggressive, I'm directly asking you for it because it really helps us. So
yeah, that's awesome. Well, again, today's focus was patience. We're asking for your patience. We may have some shorter episodes. We may have some, Lee talked about, maybe even our frequency might change, but our love for you and for the community has not. And one of the biggest things you can do to help us right now is helping us just kind of grow our channel in visibility. So maybe sharing our 3-minute movesets with your faction, not spam, but in a tasteful way. Send them to your faction. Help them see that we are doing some cool hacks. I know they hate that word when we use it, but I think that's what we're trying to do, is to give you the best we have so that you can do the best you can do. That's it for me, Lee. If you got more, why don't you wrap us up today?
No, we appreciate you guys. Happy 2025. I hope this year in the game is your best year in the game. And we appreciate you as a community. It's an honor, it's a joy, it's a fun time, and it's a privilege to be a part of it. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.